Hi students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you from Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope that all of you are having a great weekend so far, and thank you for joining me in this class. We are looking at IELTS Speaking Part 3, talking about danger and survival. As many of you will realize, those especially who were in the previous class, this is a continuation of Speaking Part 2. That is the setup of the IELTS exam. Your Part 2 and Part 3 are related or connected topics. Part 2 in the previous class that ended 30 minutes ago was about a place of safety, a place where you can go to avoid danger, a refuge, a shelter, an asylum, a haven. Students, this lesson is presented to you by aehelp.com for academic IELTS. Visit us there. For the general IELTS, visit us at gieltshelp.com. These are our websites that power these live classes with our practice exams, interactive course, speaking interface, materials for reading, listening, writing. Again, click this big red button. I say it 100 times and I say it again. It's for your own good. Click it once. Fill out the purchase form. Not a lot of money, one-time payment, lifetime access. We're an IDP affiliate. We're a British Council partner. You can even register in some countries for your IELTS exam through the website for your home-based exam. I'm a certified British Council agent. You're in great hands with us. This is your My Student account, and we will be using the student partner speaking a little bit later in this class. For the general IELTS, check out gieltshelp.com, and again, just click that big red button to join the premium course. Use the code EASY9. Now, getting a band 9 is not easy, but there are easier ways to get a band 9 through using good materials. So that's why we put EASY9 up there. We know it's not easy to get a band 9, but there are easier ways, and the websites are there to teach you that. So use that code for a 10% discount on the websites. And you can also link the apps Academic IELTS Help, General IELTS Help. Instagram has videos, reels, schedules for you. IELTS_AHelp, GIELTS Help. If you have questions, send me an email. Adrian@ahelp.com. Admin@ahelp.com. Welcome, Chen, our chat moderator. Thank you for putting the URL in the class. Hi, Domenico, Anahita, Chayani. Nice to see people in the class. That's excellent. Great. Good to have lots of you with me. Students, after today's class, our next class will be May the 4th on Thursday, speaking part 1, followed by reading task 1, and then speaking on Saturday, on the coming Saturday. So lots of classes coming up. Make sure to subscribe to our channel so you get notifications of these live classes. You get notifications of materials. We've got a new release for you as well. It's this video here, and it's a speaking video. It's a very good example of how to score a band 9. Follow those instructions there in that video. It's excellent. Let's jump into IELTS Speaking Part 3. Everybody, here we go. So, last part of your speaking, okay? Speaking has 1, 2, 3 parts. The third part, probably the most challenging. Some people find part 2 difficult. However, if you know what you're doing for part 2 and you practice it, part 2 is not that bad. Part 3 is challenging because there's specific questions on a specific idea, and you really have to give both good English and good details, good information to get those high band scores. So for students who might be like a band 8 or band 9 until the end of part 2, it's part 3 where you have to continue to shine to get that ultimate band 9 score, okay? This is a speaking session, everybody, so speak and repeat. The most important when you're speaking is for part 3, okay? I'm going to give you the 2 most important tips, all right? Firstly, use the question in your answer, okay? That will help your fluency and your accuracy. Okay? So when the examiner says what types of threats are the most likely these days for people around the world, then you can start by saying, well, the most common dangerous situations for people worldwide are social unrest and an illness like COVID. Okay, so I'm using the question to build my fluency, to build my accuracy. I'm paraphrasing it, so I didn't say threats are most likely. Okay, I said common dangerous situations, right? So I'm paraphrasing, but I'm using the question. Okay, and then remember, okay, so I said 2 big points to get those high scores, all right? First is use the question. Second is always explain your answer. And often include examples. So it's not good if the examiner sounds like a 3-year-old child and keeps saying, why? And eventually you just yell at the examiner and you're like, because, it's just because. So I promise you I do not do that with my children. My major was psychology, so I know that you need to explain. So you have to explain. You have to give the answer, okay? All right? So preemptively, if the examiner is asking you why every 2 questions, you're probably not explaining yourself enough, okay? All right? So you have to explain yourself. So if the question is, what types of threats are the most likely these days for people around the world, and you answer, well, the most frequent dangerous situations worldwide seem to arise from political unrest and illness, then right away use the reason. So because we just experienced COVID, and now there are some major wars, like between Russia and the Ukraine. It seems that having 8 billion people is putting pressure on nations and our health. Okay? So this answer is band 9. It's very original. It's very specific. It answers it very clearly. Okay? I'm thinking about the real world. I'm thinking about real contexts. And all of the information that is needed for a band 9 is there. Complex sentence, answer, explanation. Here, the examiner is not going to go, why? They're going, I just told you, right? Because there's 8 billion people on Earth, and that seems to create issues with politics and with health, right? One person coughs, 8 billion people can catch that cough, all right? So there you go. All right. Okay. Now there are other answers, and Polomi has a different answer. Okay. And Romelia has a different answer. Romelia says environment and cybersecurity are major threats. Yeah. Explain it. Why? Okay. So Polomi has this answer for this question. In this era of global warming, threats like cancer, neurological disorders are very much common. But if we look into social life, most of the nations are going through social unrest, including recession. So this is the examiner's mind here, Polomi. So which of these is the most common and why? Okay. In the mind of the examiner, you haven't actually really answered this question, Palomi. You're listing threats, but you're not saying the most common one is global warming. Most people around the world are worried about the changing climate because we all feel the temperature is rising very quickly, and we are all experiencing weather patterns that we never saw earlier in our lives. Where I live in Victoria, last year we had 45-degree summer. That never happened ever in my life, okay? So you have to be specific. Make sure you answer the question. You can't just kind of answer the question. You have to answer the question, okay, Palomi? All right. So Kevin, let's see what you have. So here, Palomi, even though it's good English, it's still only a band 6 because it's not a coherent, accurate answer. Let's see what Kevin has. Students, you can answer these questions absolutely, okay? Let's see what Kevin has put in here for us. Kevin, 2 parts. All right. Kevin, very hardworking student, training to be potentially an English teacher, major in English linguistics, Kevin, right? If I'm not mistaken. Kevin says the 2 most glaring threats to the world, I would say for the world, today are pollution and extreme weather conditions. The former causes a host of health problems, from mild irritation to major infection like cancer, as where the latter causes structural damage to properties and claims lives. In Vietnam, thousands of lives have been lost to flash floods sweeping through residential areas. I am so sorry to hear that, Kevin. The answer itself is excellent, okay? It's a very good answer. The most glaring threats, nice way to express that the 2 most common or frequent dangers. Okay, Kevin, good job on the answer. All right, Dylan says, okay, I'm going to take one more here because Dylan has an interesting type of response here. Okay. So, Dylan says, it's very hard to say. From where I see it, the dangers that individuals may encounter depends on many factors such as geography, wealth, politics, and level of development of the country they reside in. Some countries may be prone for natural disasters like earthquakes and hurricanes, while the other ones may have high rates of violence due to political unrest. But generally it is said that due to no. Okay, so Dylan, you have good English, but the answer is poor. Okay, so here the examiner is like, good English, but poor answer. And absolutely, the examiner is looking at the quality of your answers for those Band 8, Band 9 levels. Okay, Dylan? So you have to keep that in mind. Here's an important tip, everybody. Let's put this at the top. Okay? So do not sit on the fence. Okay, this is an idiom. What I mean by that is avoid stating it depends. Okay? For a couple reasons, all right? And I do think that there might be some lessons. You can tell me this because I know that a lot of you watch many different people online or go to different IELTS centers and schools. Are there people telling students to say it depends, especially without even really thinking about the question? So is this some kind of a tip or strategy that somebody's giving? Because if they are, it's bad strategy. Okay, so avoid stating it depends. Uncertain communication or uncertain ideas are often confusing and lead to poor vocabulary and information. Okay? Amra says, yes, sir. Okay. Yeah, you have to be careful, everybody, with what you learn from the internet. Some people will say whatever they want to get clicks or to get viewers. You have to really look at, like, where is this person coming from? What is the logic of what they're saying? If I tell you, well, it depends, and use this because you can say a lot, it's bad logic, okay? The logic of the IELTS questions is not to speak a lot. It's to speak well. And often speaking a lot is not good communication, okay? If you speak a lot and it's confusing, you will get interrupted. You will get low marks, okay? Absolutely, Romelia. Often in the real world, when you talk to someone and they tell you it depends, your first, I don't know about you, but me personally, when somebody says it depends and that's how they start, in my mind, I'm like, I hope this person finishes quickly so I can get out of here, because here comes a whole bunch of useless information. Okay, so I don't know about you, but that's my feeling usually. And I know it's not always the best. Sometimes it does depend, but I need an answer. Okay, so if I visit your hometown and I say, hey, I'm in Uzbekistan, I'm in Tashkent, where should I go? What's a fun place to visit? And you start by saying, well, it depends. Then I'd be like, oh, can I just get out of here and talk to someone who's like, yeah, go to this shopping mall, you'll have so much fun, or check out this this castle, it looks amazing. Okay, I need a straight answer, right? I don't need an it depends. Okay, how about you? Maybe some of you like the it depends. I know most people tend not to, right? So don't do that, okay? And this is a good example here, Dylan. Maybe it's true, maybe it does depend, but you know what? It's just better to say global warming and pollution seem to be an issue that affects everyone around the world. Our air quality is decreasing. There's garbage on the streets, and this is a worldwide problem. These are major problems that lead to illness and conflict, right? So, no, it depends. Give the answer, give the explanation, give an example, move on, be confident. Not to mention your confidence. I think Romelia said that your confidence will go down, because it depends is not building your confidence, and confidence is key in a good speaking interview, okay? There are some very few odd situations where it depends might be appropriate, but they're far and few between, okay? Far and few between, all right? Expat says, oh, got it, okay? Angel, like I said, it's the rare situation where it's ambiguous. It's the rare situation. And you know what, Angel? Even in the rare situation where it's ambiguous, you're probably still better off just choosing one side. You will have better expression, better clarity, more confidence. In fact, let me talk about that a little bit more, Angel. In fact, all situations in life are ambiguous. So this is one of the great ironies in life, everybody. And when you study philosophy and you study psychology, you do learn this, or even, social sciences, social studies. All situations in life are subjective, have multiple opinions. However, the irony is that we must create the illusion of, let me reverse that. So all situations in life are ambiguous, and depend on various factors. Okay. The irony is that we must create the illusion of one opinion. Otherwise, we stagnate and have what's called indecision. Okay. So if you're like, it depends, right? So that's a good example, again, what I said. I go to your city and I say, where should I go to have fun? And you say, it depends. And then at the end of your conversation, I'm still left with the question of like, okay, so I'm asking you, where should I go for fun? What are you telling me? That's what I'm interested in. I'm not asking you to analyze me and try to tell me what it depends on, okay? So Mostly, we want your subjective truth. So we want to be enabled to move forward. All right, I've spent enough time on that, but I think you get the idea. Okay. So in university as well, when you're in university, you're writing essays, research papers, you need to take a position. Okay. It makes us actionable. All right. Angel says, gotcha. All right. So here we go. Next question. Which threats do people likely not need to worry about? So give me a good answer for this one. And now if you have to think about it, start with, that's an interesting question. Let me think for a moment. All right. I suppose some circumstances that no longer really pose a threat for people are predators, like being eaten by a tiger or a bear, and the common cold. As humans have become the apex predators on Earth, and medical science can now cure most common diseases. Okay? Just the other day, I had a cold. I took an antibiotic and I feel great. Maybe don't tell the examiner that you had a cold and you're on antibiotics, but you get the idea. Are you on antibiotics and you're here? What? Last month, not yesterday. Okay. All right. Okay, very good. Ayush, kind of thinking in the same as me, right? So here's the answer from Ayush. Okay, let's take a look at the answer by Ayush. Ayush, very good. I had the lightning strike in my head, but I figured I'd go a different direction. Good for you. So Ayush says, well, I think threats that people may not need to worry about include rare occurrences such as shark attacks, plane crashes, and lightning strikes. Ayush, very good. So you're using the question, and indeed you're identifying rare situations where, most of us fortunately don't perish in such situations or get injured in such situations. Quantify it. Ayush, can you give me the numbers here? So what's the numbers? And I think many of you know this because we often use these expressions in our language. So numbers, quantification. Again, I can't remind you enough times. Use numbers. It's a super important tip. Okay, it's a really great way to create fluency and finish. So rather than saying it depends, there are just really much more effective ways to create fluency and accuracy in the language. Okay, so use numbers. It's called quantification throughout your responses. Okay. To create fluency and detail. All right. So here, think about it, right? And it's directly linked to what Ayush is saying here. Ayush says, well, I think threats that people may not need to worry about include rare occurrences such as shark attacks, plane crashes, and lightning strikes. Okay, how rare are these occurrences? And I think you have an idea of what I'm trying to get you to say here, because as soon as I say it, you'll be like, oh yeah, of course. I hear it all the time, right? Like, oh, you shouldn't worry about that. Like when people go on a trip and they're like, oh, I'm so scared of the plane. And then they say, well, did you know that dying in a plane crash is about compared to dying in a car crash, right? And I'm sure some of you have heard that, right? These are kind of commonalities of all people. Hint, hint. common situations for all people, right? So, Anna, no philosophical question, just direct answer, okay? Amra says only 1 or 2 people die per year from shark attacks or lightning strikes. Well, there are 8 billion of us, so maybe more than 1 or 2. But think about ratios here, everyone. And I'm going to say it, and you'll be like, oh, of course, right? It's like when we hear the obvious. Sometimes it's so close in front of us that we can't see it. It's like, it's there. It's there. So the chances for a person to be injured or mortally wounded in such accidents is less than 1 in a million, everyone. Not 1 in 100,000, Kogoro Mori. It's less than 1 in a million. I think getting hit by lightning, statistically, it's like 1 in 4 million or something like that. Dying in a plane crash is 1 in 2 million. You can look it up. They have the statistics online. And being bitten by a shark is like 1 in 30 million or something ridiculous. So you actually have a better chance of winning the lottery than being bitten by a shark. So statistics, right? The chances for a person to be injured or mortally wounded in such accidents is less than 1 in a million. So no need to stress. Just travel and enjoy swimming in the sea. Right? Okay. Oh yeah, Angel. Car crash, it's like 1 in 100,000. Plane crash is like 1 in 2 million or 5 million or something like that. Like there's something like 1 million people that go up in planes every single day. Okay. All right. Okay. And so, again, Ayush, great start, finish with a number, right? So, well, I think threats that people may not need to worry about include rare occurrences such as shark attacks, plane crashes, and lightning strikes. The chances for a person to be injured or mortally wounded in such accidents is less than 1 in a million. So no need to stress. Just enjoy swimming, enjoy traveling. Okay, students, let's do some volunteering. Angel, that if you're thinking about what if you're that 1 in the million, then think about it positively. What if I'm 1 in a million who wins the lottery or finds a big diamond in the ground? Because that happens to about 1 in a million people. That something super lucky happens to them. So think about the positive 1 in the million, not the negative. Okay. What if I'm 1 in a million who gets the exact same IELTS questions that I'm studying today? That's probably less than 1. Probably 1 in a million. Okay, that's the predicting. You know, when people are like, I'm going to predict my IELTS questions. Well, if you get the same questions that you predicted, 1 in a million. But that's a positive, right? All right. Okay, let's do this, everybody. We're going to talk to each other and we'll hear more answers. We'll look at more Band 9 answers. We'll do more repetition and speaking, okay? But we'll do it with the beautiful voice of our viewers who are there with me right now. You can actually volunteer to speak to me through the website, aehelp.com. Lian Hua, welcome to our group of members. Awesome to have you join us. Chen, thank you for putting the instructions in the chat. Follow the instructions in the chat to connect. Students, very importantly, especially it's your first time to use this, please test it with another person. It has a lot of moving parts: microphones, internet connections, operating systems, national barriers routing through certain countries that don't allow you to connect with other countries. So you have to test that it works. The best way to do that is with another person. So go to the website, gieltshelp.com or aehelp.com. aehelp.com will look like this when you first go to the site. Okay. You can join the premium IELTS by clicking the big red button that I keep talking about. The giant red button. One-time payment. Lifetime access, doesn't cost a lot, absolutely worth your investment. You get 6 full practice exams, an interactive course, and we're always adding new materials and upgrading, updating. So, and it's lifetime access, so you don't have to keep paying us, okay? Hint, hint, we will be increasing prices of the premium course fairly soon as we're releasing a new version of the site in the coming months, so better get it early. All right, student partner speaking. Is that button right there? That's where you want to go. Okay, you can check out all the other goodies like the full course and workbook and everything after, okay? But here right now, go to the student partner speaking, and you will see yourself and many of your peers in here. Mingma, Thu, Domenico, Noor, Chayani, Juan Pablo, Kalwinder, and many others. You'll see me in here too. You'll see me here as Master. I will look like this in the list. Click the blue envelope next to my name and send me a message. Say, I want to try. Okay, and then I will message you back. And I will say, sure. All right, Thu. Yes, you can. Are you ready? Let's do this. Okay, so we'll practice the part 3 questions. I will give you a band score estimate. I will give you corrections. Everybody repeat the corrected clear answer, and then we'll go from there, okay?
Hello.
Hi, Thu. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thu, I remember you did not want to try part 2 in the last class. I thought that got me smiling. Did you try part 2 during the break or on your own?
No, actually, 2 weeks ago I tried to volunteer. However, you didn't. Uh, didn't ask me. So
All right. Well,
it is the first time I volunteer, but you didn't.
Thu,
Not did
practice that part 2, okay? Whatever happens, whoever says yay or nay, practice that part 2, okay? All right, Thu, I'm going to ask you some part 3 questions.
Yes.
Are you ready?
I am not sure.
You have to be confident. Okay.
Yes.
Let's do this. Let's talk about dangerous circumstances. What types of threats are the most likely these days for people around the globe?
Those there are letter of stress. Just post. There are letter of stress nowadays. But from a personal perspective, I think natural disasters, inflammatory disease, and extreme weather conditions are putting human livelihood in jeopardy.
Can you give some examples?
For example, natural disasters like tsunamis or earthquake are has been have ever devastated the economies of Japan's very seriously. I mean,
Can you give me a specific example that happened in the last few decades for Japan?
actually, I am not knowledgeable about it. However, I can give you another example like COVID-19 pandemics and the wars between Ukraine and Russia. Easy happen very easy happen nowadays, and especially the wars between Russia and Ukraine are escalating.
Okay, that's good. Let's stop there, Thu. All right. So, Thu, notice how in part 3, the examiner asks you question connected to question connected to question. And that's the experience of part 3, okay? Especially if you're doing a good job,
Yes.
the examiner will dig deeper for more information. Okay,
Yes.
Thu, not bad. Your band score would be about a band 6.5. So you have good vocabulary. I think I've said this to you before. You have to use that vocabulary frequently so that you can get fluent, confident, comfortable using all that awesome vocabulary. Okay, so lots of communication, lots of talking, speaking partners. Use the website. Focus on explaining and giving examples, because if you don't, this is exactly what your examiner will do. Is they will ask you why, and they will ask you to give examples. They will say, can you elaborate? Can you give me more details? But in essence, they're asking you for more of an explanation and more examples. You said there are a variety of threats nowadays, and then you stopped and you went back and you started again. Try not to do that, okay? Your first start was good, so just keep going. Don't go back and repeat a start, especially when it's a good start. So there are a variety of threats nowadays. However, from my personal perspective, I take natural disasters and inflammatory disease in the body as some of the most serious, because of climate change and major disasters like earthquakes and tsunamis that are frequently happening in different places like North America, Asia, Africa. Okay, so try to explain why that is. And then when I asked you for the example, you said, for example, natural disasters, tsunamis, earthquakes devastated the economies of Japan. You have to remember that one. So when I asked you, can you, like what? Like which one are you thinking about, right? Because you said Japan. So I'm like, okay, well, which one? There's one that should pop to mind. It happened not that long ago. And I mean, of course, it does depend on your age. Maybe you were a little bit young to pay attention, but there was a pretty big one not that long ago that was world news. Do you remember what it was?
No, actually, I am really not very knowledgeable about this topic.
Oh, this was big news in every country. It was the I bet when I say it, you might be like, oh, that one. Remember the Fukushima disaster, the Fukushima earthquake that happened? It damaged the nuclear power plants, and there was radioactive nuclear waste that went into the ocean and went to other parts of the world. Did you hear about that?
I'm not sure about it because I don't keep up with the current affairs.
Okay.
So,
Not a bad idea to do that when you're getting ready for the IELTS, okay? So a little bit of current affairs, good idea when you're preparing for the IELTS, especially global. So the Fukushima disaster a few years ago. Yeah, that was huge. In fact, we're all still being affected by that. People just kind of forget, but we're kind of eating radioactive fish because of that. Okay. Anyway, I don't want to scare people. So practice that fluency. Lots and lots of speaking. Okay, Thu?
yes.
All right. Thank you for volunteering, and don't be shy to volunteer for part 2 either. Okay, Thu? I want to encourage you.
Next time I will. But can you?
All right.
But can you give me another topic quickly, very easy for me to
Don't
take
try
the
to fish.
beginnings?
Don't try to fish for easy topics, Thu. Instead, focus on strategy. You will never be able to guess the topic of part 2. And this topic, in fact, is not that bad. Sometimes the topics are a lot more specific, and you're kind of like, what? Like talk about a musical instrument that you would like to try. It's like, what? So whatever topic comes up, just be prepared for it. Okay.
Yes.
All right, Thu. We'll talk again soon. Keep it up. You're doing great. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Bye, Thu.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, there's lots of thumbs up coming for Thu right there. See, Thu? People love what you're saying. All right. ABCD says excellent. Okay, let's keep going here. Alif. We've never heard from Alif. Alif seems to be a premium student. In fact, we're sure that Alif is a premium student. Let's give Alif a chance. Let's find out a little bit about Alif. Alif, are you ready? Hopefully we can connect. Okay. Students, new and returning. Keep practicing. Okay, practice does make perfect, even though that sounds super cliche. It's the truth. That's why it's cliche. Alif, if you're there. Thank you.
My
Hi, Alif.
Hi, oh my God, I'm just new here.
Here you are. Here you are. Alif, that's
Yeah,
great. Thanks for volunteering. It's awesome.
yeah,
Alif,
yeah.
you're a premium member. Fantastic. Where are you in the world right now?
I'm from Indonesia.
From Indonesia. Okay. Whereabouts in
Yeah.
Indonesia?
I'm sorry, can you repeat again?
Whereabouts in Indonesia? What part?
I live in the center of province. I mean, like the largest city of Indonesia. I can say in Medan.
Okay.
Actually, it's a
Okay.
big city.
Okay.
Well, oh my God, I just to know I'm just new here, and you call me suddenly. I am so panicking.
Of course, of course. So no, take a deep breath, center yourself, and it's great. Yeah, we always I look for people who are new as well. Of course, it's important. So I'm glad. Alif, why are you taking the IELTS exam?
Oh, well, actually, I already working as a state owner enterprise in my country,
Hmm.
actually, and I get opportunity to study abroad, but that requirement is need 6.5 band score.
Hmm.
So 5 months ago in January, I already takes IELTS, but my score is not good, overall 5.5. So that's why I searched on YouTube and I found you and I joined the premium student.
Okay, good for you. You're taking action. That's good. 5.5. Okay, and just talking with you now, I do think that you should be fairly close to a 6.5. So correct strategies, correct practice. I definitely think you can get that score. All right. Alif, I will help you. Just before we get into some speaking part three questions, I must ask, do you know Chayani? Is she your neighbor? Because she's also from Indonesia.
Yeah, yeah, I know him. I know her because yeah, Cahyani. Because a couple of months ago, I chat with her and yeah, they give me information. Oh, you live streaming now.
Oh, cool. I had no idea. I was kind of just joking because, Indonesia is a big country with a lot of people. And I was like, because people always ask, Canada, when people are from Canada, they're like, oh, do you know my friend Tim in Toronto? And I'm like, well, Toronto's 5,000 kilometers away, but no. So I was just joking, but I was surprised when you said, oh, I do know Chayani. So that was funny. Great. Well, thanks, Chayani, for the reference, I must say now. Alif, that's
Yeah.
fantastic. So let me get into some questions with you, okay? Here we go. Do your best, focus on yourself. Same tip for everybody in the IELTS. No matter how nervous you are when you talk to the examiner, the trick is just focus on yourself. Don't worry about the examiner, just be you. So let's do this. Let's talk about dangerous situations.
Okay.
How can governments and society minimize the possibility of dangerous situations happening?
Oh my God, there are a lot of the way to reduce dangerous, especially in my country. Some there are a lot of media to force the governments, yeah, to lot the government. So I think what should they? I have no idea. Oh my God. Uh, do you give a clue, maybe?
Let's talk about survival in a crisis. Where are some
Mm,
common places that people may escape for safe refuge?
can you repeat again? I'm so sorry, I can hear you.
Where are common places that people may escape for safe refuge?
Oh my God. I don't get the point, sir. I'm so sorry because I'm so panicking now. I'm traveling with my hands to write or to hear your voice.
How has technology been used to increase the security of people in an emergency?
uh, I think we need support from government to help security in our country. Because there are in my country especially there are a lot of hacker to hack to website. So I think the allocate the budget on the security website, I think, in my country. Yeah.
All right, I'm going to stop there. And yes, I feel you. Okay, you're nervous, you're anxious. It's causing your brain to malfunction and have a meltdown. That's okay. It happens. Okay, so, and it happens to people in the real IELTS exam as well. So here are a couple of tips, okay, to help you get out of this situation. First of all, in the IELTS, the examiners usually cannot give you tips. Okay, so they can't hint at the answer, or they can't assist your answer. So there's no point in asking for them to do that. Like don't ask them, can you give me a tip? Because they'll just go to the next question. Instead, do what you did, where you say, can you please repeat that? I'm a bit nervous, or can you say that again? So ask them to repeat. Okay, that's absolutely fine. They can't really give you much help otherwise. Okay, and the other really important step is to use the question. So right away, use the question. And you said, "Oh my God, oh my God!" Don't do that. So don't drop the OMG. We call it the OMG. Oh my God! Don't drop OMG. So avoid the OMG. Okay. So when I ask you, how can governments and society minimize the possibility of dangerous situations happening, immediately use the question to start answering. So there are several ways that. What's another way to say government?
There are several ways.
Another way to say government is authorities. Can you just repeat after me? Authorities.
Authorities.
Authorities. Yeah. So there are several ways that authorities can help to, instead of minimize, decrease threats in society. Okay. Now, think simple. So this is where you really have to visualize, focus on yourself. So one way is to inform the public, right? So tell people that there's a dangerous situation, right? There's a big storm coming, and like in Indonesia, when there's a big storm and there's a possible tsunami or flash flood, I'm sure that the government tries their best to tell people. So they say, there's a big storm, 100 miles, it looks like it's coming this way. Everybody should get ready for a big flood on Friday or on Saturday. Does that happen ever in your right? So think about your real situations, really focus on those. So there are several ways that authorities can help decrease threats in society. One way is to inform the public of possible threats like flash floods in Indonesia. Okay. Another way is to build shelters where people can go to stay safe. Okay. There's a flood shelter just 500 meters from my home. So that number, quantitative. So always thinking about numbers, 500 meters from my home. Okay. And I think that if you practice this, because I definitely feel like, when what you did, you're not using your best English. I can tell, because when you're talking to me naturally, your English is better. So you have to just focus. Here we go. Just try this. So repeat after me. There are several ways that authorities can help decrease threats in society.
Well, there are several ways that authorities can help decrease threats in society.
One is to inform the public of possible threats like flash floods in Indonesia.
One way is to inform the public of possible threats like flash floods in Indonesia.
Another way is to build shelters where people can go to stay safe.
Another way is to build shelters where people can go to stay safe.
There's a flood shelter about 500 meters from my home.
There are flood shelter about 1,500 meters from my home.
Okay, perfect. So what I encourage you to do when you're practicing at home, if you find it difficult to put your ideas together for these speaking questions, then try writing them down. So write down your answers, write down the answer, the explanation, the example, and then say it. And then practice it again and practice it again until it starts to come naturally into your head that, okay, use the question, answer the question, give an example, think about my life, my situation, because these questions usually for the IELTS, people have ideas. You just need to find the idea in your head. Does that make sense?
Yes, this makes sense. Yep.
Okay.
So thank you for your advice to me. Actually, I have a trouble at section 3 on the question. So yeah, I think I need to learn more how to speak because I don't have like long sentences to answer that question, like just one or two sentences.
Mhm.
So yeah, thanks
Absolutely.
for
And that's
your feedbacks.
And Alif, that's absolutely good advice because I encourage a lot of people that have a band 5.5 or a band 6, spend most of your time on part 2 and part 3. Probably your part 1 answers are quite good, so don't worry about part 1 too much. You'll be fine. Focus on part 2, focus on part 3. That's definitely smart thinking, Alif. So thank you for volunteering and thank you for being a
Okay,
premium
okay.
member. I hope you come back again.
Yes, sure. Thank
Okay.
you, thank you.
You're bye, Alif.
Bye. See you.
All right. Thumbs up for Alif, first time volunteer. Definitely a bit of the first time jitters, which is totally normal. That is fine. So let's take somebody else. Let's see if we can get a hold of Colwinder. I think we haven't spoken to Colwinder in quite some time. Alif, look at all those big thumbs up coming at you. Okay. All right. Good work in there. You have to put yourself forward. Colwinder, are you ready? Okay, Colwinder, also a premium student. It's good to be a premium student. I see other students, but you know, I will take non-premium students as volunteers as well. Mahesh, I see you there volunteering. Hem might be somebody new as well. Colwinder. Juan Pablo says, good job, Alif. Thank you, Juan. All right, Colwinder. Not seeing a response. Maybe Colwinder has left. Let's try a Hem here. Hem, are you ready? Another unfamiliar name to me. Might be somebody new who we've never heard. All right. Domenico, yes, indeed. The best way for you to build confidence is put yourself forward. Yes. Forward indeed. Okay. Hem. Hem. Hearing some sounds, hearing microphone sound. Hem, are you there?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Hem. How are you?
I'm good.
Awesome. Hem, is this your first time?
Yeah, this is my first time.
Awesome.
I'm
Great. Hem, another first timer. Fantastic. Good for you. Hem.
I'm nervous.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Alif was too, so no worries, right? Take that leap. Hem, where are you calling from?
I'm from India,
From India. Awesome. What part of India?
Punjab.
From Punjab. Awesome. Okay. And Hem, why are you taking the IELTS exam?
Actually, I'm planning to go abroad, Canada, so for my higher education.
Okay, good for you. May I ask whereabouts in Canada are you planning to move? Just, I'm curious.
Okay, so actually, I'm planning to go Surrey in Canada, so where I can study my master in data analyst.
Okay, so data analysis in Surrey, BC.
Yeah, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe in Toronto.
All right. A lot of Canadians would not know where Surrey is, but I know because it's not far from me, and I've been to Surrey lots. So it's on the outskirts of Vancouver. Yeah, Surrey's beautiful. Go to Surrey. It's nicer. No, Toronto's nice
Thank
too.
you.
Toronto's nice too. Weather's better in
I
Surrey. Weather's better in Surrey. Okay, winters are not as cold. All right. Well, let's get into some part 3 questions here. Are you ready?
Yeah, okay.
All right, let's do it. How can governments and society minimize the possibility of dangerous situations from happening?
Okay, there are many ways like government can help people to they can tell them the situation that are coming in like the flood that are coming, and they can tell in the news, and then Apart from this, uh, they can they can they can raise a fund in the research, and where the government can uh, in the research they can um, help to minimize the danger.
Can you give an example of funding research to minimize danger?
Yeah, of course. For example, like global warming, and they can raise a fund in the research. They can researcher can find researcher can find the what we can call researching and find the global temperature, and how they can decrease the global temperature. According to that, they can minimize that danger.
Do these strategies always work?
uh, yeah, these are the strategy maybe work actually for me from my
Where are some common places that people may escape for safe refuge?
See, Francis, I didn't get that actually. It's complicated. Can you just explain me what the question?
Where are some common places that people may escape for safe refuge?
um, for the safe refuge, people can go to the village side and wait, where they can spend more time with the locals.
Okay, I'm going to stop there. That's not bad at all. Not bad at all. All right. Okay, you're doing you have some good strategies. So your band score would be like 5 to a 5.5, just because I think you're nervous. I think actually you could get a 6 if you're not as nervous. But you're a bit nervous, so it's stopping you from clear, accurate English. Your information is okay, so you're giving me some good answers to the questions. You listened to the advice from earlier in the class, and you're using the question. So you did that very well. I asked you, how can governments and societies minimize the possibility of dangerous situations? You said, there are many ways governments can help people too. Now, your answers are good, but they sound a little bit broken. So it sounds like you have broken pieces of information, and you're gluing them together with kind of strange connectives, with missing prepositions. So what you want to practice, okay, is good connectives. So use good connectives like therefore, as a result. Pay attention to your prepositions like in, at, on, okay? And then
Okay.
that will make your language smoother. That also happens when you're less nervous and more confident, okay? So you said they can tell them the situation that are coming. They can tell them the situation that is coming, okay? Like a flood or an earthquake, okay? Or volcanic eruption, right? Sure. They can tell in the news. They can tell people in the news and on their mobile phones. Do you have, I'm curious actually, in India, do you have those test alerts on your mobile phone? We have these in Canada now, where rarely, sometimes like once every few months, our mobile phones start going crazy. They go, meh, meh, meh. This is a test for government warning situations. Do you have that in India?
Not yet in India, but there are in India like the news there come up before after 5 minutes. If there is any earthquake, we will uh, they will be they will be showing the news, and
Yeah.
we got a news notification.
Yeah, these are called emergency broadcast signals. Emergency broadcast signals. Okay, so if you're traveling and you're in Canada, when you're in Surrey, don't get too scared, or don't jump to the roof if suddenly your phone goes meow, 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 and there's like a big red triangle and it says the government. So the government's not trying to attack you, or they're not tracking you down. They're actually just testing the system, or hopefully there's not a real situation, but they test the system to make sure it works for everybody. And then they have this system on your mobile phone now, where they can immediately tell you on the mobile phone if there is some situation that needs your attention. Okay. All right. So
okay.
it's like yes, Electro Niladri says it's like an SOS signal. Absolutely. So anyway, like a flood, they can tell people in the news and on emergency broadcast signals to people's phones or people's mobiles. Okay. People's mobiles.
One more thing. May I ask something?
Yeah, before you do that, just remember your question and ask me at the end. I want to give you a little bit more advice, okay? Then you were really clever. You said they can raise the fund in research where the government can minimize danger. That was a really smart idea. So I wanted to say, you had some really good ideas. Absolutely, the government uses money to avoid danger. Use the situation around you. What situation happened in the last few years where governments spent billions and billions of dollars to minimize danger? It just happened. What was the situation? India did it too.
In the spacecraft, like they are creating spacecraft.
No, the answer is much easier. It's much more in front of you. COVID. The government spent billions of dollars on medical research, right? Looking for the vaccine. So every country was racing for vaccines and racing for a cure or a way to stop the spread, right? So they can raise the funds for research where the government attempts to minimize danger, like spending. Remember what I said before to some of the other students' numbers, right? Like spending billions of dollars to develop a vaccine for COVID, right? Okay, so this is an advice for everybody. Often the answers are quite simple. They're in front of you. You just have to really think and grab them, right? Okay, try repeating this after me and then you can ask your question, okay? So governments can raise funds with research to minimize the danger, like spending billions of dollars to develop vaccines for COVID.
Could you repeat that?
Yeah, so pay attention to the context. Governments can raise funds to minimize danger, like spending billions of dollars to find a vaccine for COVID.
Government can raise the funds to minimize the dangers, like spending billion of dollars to develop a vaccine for COVID.
Perfect. See, it was a little bit different than what I said, but it was a perfectly good version. It was a good answer. So it's not the words, right? It's the context. And this is what's so important, is a lot of IELTS students think that it's the vocabulary or the words that are so important. No, it's the context. It's the idea that's important. Once you have the idea, many people like yourself, you can tell me what it is as long as you have the idea, right? So you need the idea, okay?
Yeah.
All right, what was your question?
Actually, I have given IELTS exam actually before, and I got a 6 band. Even I don't know how to improve that.
Think about good context and pay careful attention on how to connect your sentences to increase your coherence and your clarity and your grammatical accuracy, okay? So focus on using connecting words, correlative, coordinating, subordinating conjunctions. Practice those and really pay attention to context, okay?
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for volunteering, Ham. That was awesome. Keep up the good studies. Come back again, okay?
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Bye, Ham. All right. That was Ham from Punjab. Fantastic. Good. Yeah. First time volunteers. That's awesome. That's how you do it. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. Let's We've got time for a few more. Let's see if Chayani is available. Chayani is a regular student that comes back often, and we want to reward returning students as well, of course. So Chayani, are you ready? All right. Then I can thank Chayani in person for the reference, right? Okay, Chayani, if you're there, let me know. We'll give Chayani. Oh, Chayani is there. Hi, Chayani.
Hey Adrian,
How are you?
right now I'm doing good, not like yesterday.
So you're feeling, yes, you said you were under the weather, so you're feeling better. Good. Lots of fluids, lots of vitamins, right?
Yes, I just got recovered from high fever, but early in the morning I got shivering.
Yeah, I mean, I can empathize with you. I've had way too many flus and such in the last few months. It's the post-COVID, right? Chayani, thank you for the reference for referring Alif. That's great. It was very, very kind of you. I seriously was just joking when I was like, do you know Alif? And Alif's like, oh yeah, I know Chayani. So it was a surprise.
Yes.
All right. Chayani, let me ask you a few questions. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Let's talk about survival in a crisis. Where are some common places that people may escape to for safe refuge?
There are some common places like a rooftop, sporty complex, or some of the like a almosery. Like what I mentioned before, rooftop is the best place to say survive from any natural disaster like floods or tsunami.
Which one of these is the safest and why?
That's a tough question. I think rooftop is the best place to stay away from the disaster because it is located in the highest place. So I have ever experienced the big floods that in Jakarta, and I went there, and it is the best place to stay in here for a while after the floods is going away.
How has technology been used to increase the security of shelters in emergency situations?
I think technology has been a savior for people to inform the security because it is have a lot of the role to prevent some of the accidents. Like the fire alarm is help people to stay away from the fire in the high building.
Just give me 1 second. Okay. So I have to. So the reason I asked you to wait for a second is because I was trying really hard to write down exactly what you're saying, Chayani, because your English, it's very interesting. So you have very good comprehension. You understand the questions very clearly. You have good ideas. You have good vocabulary. Your grammar is quite good. Where you're losing marks is with your choice of words. So lexical resource and the accuracy of word choice is where you need to improve. So I would say that, you know, your English is easily a band 6.5 to a 7, and you need to learn to use your vocabulary in better ways to sound more natural. So again, lots of reading, lots of aloud reading, lots of copying native speakers to make sure that you're using words correctly. Let me give you some examples, and this is why I was trying to catch what you were writing, okay? So I asked you, what are some places people may escape to? You said there are some common places like a rooftop. Complete the sentence. So there are some common places for refuge, right? Like a rooftop, a sports complex, or a mountain cabin. I'm not sure what it was. I think you said mountain cabin. Like what I mentioned before. That was really smart that you made that connection, like what I mentioned before. So you made the conversation connect. Okay, everybody, you should do that in the IELTS when you can connect to part 2. Okay, and then you explain like the rooftop is a great place in Indonesia during a flood. Okay. And then I asked you which of these is the safest and why, and you said that's a tough question. It was good. You bought some time, and it is a tough question. And I liked how you didn't say it depends, because it does depend, right? So it depends on where we are. But the examiners are scared because when you say it depends, it means you might say something like, well, it depends. If you're in Indonesia, it could be the rooftop in case of flash floods. But if you're in some other parts of the world, like Vancouver Island, and it's an earthquake, then you might want to escape to a mountain because the house is going to collapse, so the rooftop is not safe. However, if you're in a country like the Ukraine where there's a war going on, then the best is just to escape to another country. And it depends often will just go and lose focus, and then the examiner interrupts you, and it doesn't make for great conversation. So you instead just stayed local, and you said that's a tough question, and then you made a decision. You said, I think the rooftop is the best because it is the highest place. It is the highest point in my location, and it is, so you talk from personal perspective, right? You talk from your own perspective, and it is the best place after the flood is going away. Awkward English. Do you know what the correct way is to express that when the flood ends? So what would be another way to say it? After the flood does what? It's there's a tricky verb that you can use to be very precise, or you could just say after the flood is over. Okay, that would be the simple way, after the flood is over. It's not going away. It sounds like that would work because it seems like the flood goes away, but it doesn't actually go away. So after the flood, that's right, Hoang. Look at Hoang An Bui.
Recedes.
Recedes, that's right. Recedes means draws back. Okay, so recedes. Yeah. So try that. I know it's tricky vocabulary there, but if you don't have that vocabulary, then you still have to choose another natural form of English, and we would go with after the flood is over, or after the danger has passed. Okay, try to repeat these. After the danger has passed.
After the dangers has passed.
After the flood is over.
After the flood is over.
And the band 9 level is after the flood recedes.
After the flood recedes.
After the flood recedes.
After the flood recedes.
Okay, good. And then I asked you about technology. You did a really good job to use the present perfect. So you realize that the question is present perfect. Has technology been used? Okay. So you said, I think technology has been excellent for people to inform them of dangerous incidences like the fire alarm. I like how you immediately came up with a very common situation. Most people around the world are familiar with fire alarm systems. Absolutely. Like the fire alarm. And then you said, it's helping people to stay away from fire. Again, Chayani, you're right, but it's awkward. We don't say stay away from fire. What do you think is the natural way that most speakers would express that? Like the fire alarm, helps people to do what? Helps people to
survive.
Survive the fire is okay, but if I run away from danger, I am doing what? It starts with an E. You know the word.
Emergency.
ESP. ESC.
Escape.
Exactly. See, so it's in you. So you have it. You know it's there. You just have to get it, right? To escape fire, right? We escape from the fire, okay? Is definitely the most common way that we express that situation. So we don't run away from the fire, or we don't avoid the fire. We escape the fire. That's the most common way, because the fire is like an attacker, okay? In a high building, what's a better way to say high building?
Tower.
Tower is better. There's even a better way. High rise building.
High rise.
Okay, high-rise building or skyscraper, for example. Anahita is saying skyscraper. Yeah, might be a good way to do it as well. Okay, so Chayani, good answers, good content. Okay, good ideas, better language is what we're going for here. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right.
I get it.
So record yourself on your phone, listen to it, figure out where the language is lacking, identify it, and change it for the better language. Then write it down, say it, record it again, and listen to it. Okay, it's about 5 steps that I mentioned here. Do that regularly. Okay.
Okay, sir.
All right. And then you will get a band 8, 8.5. No questions, okay? Because you have lots of vocabulary, great fluency, great ideas, okay?
Okay, sir. I
All right.
hope I can receive that.
You can. Just follow those steps that I mentioned to you. Bye, Chayani.
Bye, sir. Sir, see you next time.
All right. And I hope Chayani gets even better, okay? All right, let's take somebody else. Juan Pablo has been making a bit of an effort these days, which is great. Juan Pablo from a very different region of the world. Juan Pablo, are you ready? All right. So a couple of new students, couple of returning students. Lovely to see all of you. Juan Pablo says, yep.
Hello.
Hi, Juan. Sorry, I'm just taking a sip of coffee there. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Okay, that's great.
I'm just a bit under the weather. I woke up with my throat a little bit sore, but I think it's nothing serious.
Yeah, and don't let it become serious. One good way to avoid that is just a bit of salt water. Gargle with some salt water, and then make sure you wash out the salt from your mouth so it doesn't burn your tongue. So lukewarm, salt water, gargle, then rinse with just pure water, and that way you can avoid getting a more serious infection of the lungs or of the throat. So try that a couple times.
Oh yeah, I remember my mom used to do that with me when I was a kid.
Yeah, no, it's a good strategy. Yeah, for sure. Pathogens don't like salt. It burns them like a snail or a slug. Salt, I'm melting. Okay, Juan, so let me ask you a few questions, okay? Are you ready?
I think so.
Okay, let's talk about survival in a crisis. How has technology been used to increase the security of shelters in emergency situations?
I think they have helped when it comes to the construction. Nowadays there is software used for construction of sport complexes, shelters, and also bunkers, and they can really help engineers and architects optimize resources and build better and better shelters and buildings in general. This kind of software, they are even prepared to simulate tornadoes, earthquakes, and other natural disasters in order to optimize construction.
What kinds of technology might we see in the future for this purpose?
Nowadays, 3D printing is very popular, but I think in the future, 3D printing for construction is going to be much more complex and more available for people, and they're going to include super strong materials and items, so it's going to be easier and easier to build even stronger buildings than today.
Okay, I'm going to stop there. Just give me a second. Okay, very good. Juan, I've spoken to you on several occasions, and I know that your English is quite good. So that's why, of course, I'm throwing more challenging questions at you. And that's what you should practice at your level, are more challenging questions, right? So fairly good. I would say a solid band 7.5 to 8 on those answers. So first of all, you're doing a good job of stretching your response so that you allow time for your brain to just start coming up with really good ideas, right? So you're able to speak in English without translating. That's what the examiner can figure out with this type of question, is that you're not really translating from Spanish, but you're actually thinking in English because your mouth is automatically saying information while your brain is thinking of other information. We're usually only able to do that when we can think in that language.
Does that affect my fluency during the exam?
It doesn't, because you're being fluent in English. You're not actually not fluent. Your brain is thinking fluently in English and you're speaking. And we pick up on that in our language or at a high level of language naturally. So that was good. So he said, I think they have helped. The reason why is because fluency is not based on one phrase. So even though, like, for example, when you say, I think they have helped when it comes to construction. So it took you a lot of time to say that, where we could say you were not really fluent, but the examiner doesn't base the fluency mark on one phrase. What they base it on is how well you can be fluent once you have your ideas. And once you got your ideas and you started talking about the software simulating different kinds of natural disasters like tornadoes and earthquakes, you were very fluent. So I know that it's not the English or the grammar vocabulary that affects you, it's your thinking, and that's fine if you have a few parts like that. Okay, it's not a problem. So you said nowadays there's software used, and you said a couple of times.
Yeah.
Try to stay away from that, Juan. It's awkward in communication, especially in these questions. It's like, no, I don't know. I'm not a software engineer and I don't construct buildings, so I'm not an architect. I don't know. So try to stay away from that. Just visualize, right? So nowadays there is several software used like AutoCAD for the construction. So give the example instead of saying, Photoshop, whatever. It doesn't even have to be a real piece of software. You can just make it up. Okay. Building sim, right? Just make one up for the construction of shelters and bunkers. And they can really help making stronger buildings in general. And then you said these kinds of software. So that was good. Good use of the present perfect. Then I asked what kinds of technology. You said 3D printers. That was fine. You started slow. And then you realized, okay, they will be super strong materials, and they will be easier to build stronger buildings than today. So that was good. Okay. So overall, quite good. All right. Keep practicing. Keep doing exactly what you're doing. And I think that with regular daily practice of about 30 minutes to an hour, you will become a fantastic user of the English language within a couple of months' time. Okay, you'll be a consistent Band 8, Band 9. All right. Okay, Juan, thank you. Have an awesome day.
You too. Thanks, Adrian.
You're very welcome.
See you next time.
Bye for now. All right, that was Juan from Argentina. That was really good. Okay. All right. Good. Students, Anahita, so patient. Let's give Anahita a chance. Are you ready? Anahita, one of our members, premium students, and very studious. Anahita sends me emails and says, I really want to speak. Good for you, Anahita. Be ambitious. So if you're there, let me know. And thanks for the thumbs up, everybody, for Juan. Anahita, I hope you hung in there. Yes, you did.
Hi, sir.
Hi, Anahita. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. How about you, sir?
I'm doing quite well also. Thank you so much. All right, Anahita, part 3. Are you ready?
Yes, it sounds difficult, but I will try.
You must do, Anahita. Don't think about difficulty. Instead of thinking about difficulty, really focus on visualizing, right? So try to see what you're about to say and focus on strategy. Use the question, use the word because as a result, give an explanation. So focus on those. Don't focus on it's challenging or it's difficult. That doesn't help, okay?
Okay.
All right. Here we go. Let's talk about survival in a crisis. What kinds of technology might we see in the future that helps people to survive in a crisis?
There will be more developed form of ambulances and more developed form of materials such as those items that can that we can take our documents with us from a higher building to a lower point in the future.
What items are good to prepare in case of an emergency, and why?
The most important items that we should provide during an emergency are our documents, because when we lose them, if we lose them, we cannot get them back easily. There was an earthquake last year, and I immediately took my all of my documents with me in order to not get wounded.
Okay. All right. Anahita, that would be about a band 5. Your fluency is actually not bad. So your fluency is closer to a 6, but they won't give you that fluency, or they won't say it's fluent English, because you're missing pieces. And it sounds like you're not saying those pieces because you're struggling to get to those pieces. Let me show you what I mean, okay? So what kinds of technology might we see in the future for this purpose? You said, there will be more development. Okay, use the question, Anahita, okay? So there will be more technology, just simply. I mean, right, Anahita? There's always more and more technology. So there will be more technology to help people in general.
Okay.
Okay, like a rescue drone that can fly a person away from a danger, like a fire, right? Wouldn't that be cool? So there's a fire, a drone comes, picks you up by the shoulders and flies you away.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty fantastic, right? So be creative, be visual, right? Now, kinds of technology is plural. So you want to give 2, or faster self-driving ambulances. Ambulances to get injured people to hospitals quickly. Okay?
Okay.
All right. So just repeat after me. There will be more technology to help people survive, like rescue drones that can fly a person away from dangers like a fire, or faster self-driving ambulances to get injured people to the hospitals quickly.
There will be more technology to help people survive, like rescue drones that can fly a person away from a danger like a fire, or faster self-driving ambulances to injure people, to get people to hospital quickly.
Yeah. And on that note, Anahita, here's an interesting piece of information for you. So people hear about drones for video, and they hear about them being used in war. But I think a lot of people in some parts of the world don't know that in Canada and in the US, we now use drones to put out fires. So we have very big forests, right? Lots of trees. And forest fires are a big, big problem for Canadians and for Americans. So there are these little drones that fly around looking for fires, and when they see a fire, they have these special chemicals that they can drop on the fire to stop it from getting really big. Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Right? So lots of interesting technology there. All right. Then I said, what items are good to prepare in case of emergency and why? And then you said the most important items that we could provide during an emergency are our documents. Even though documents sounds plural, Anahita, it's still just one. Anahita, give me 5 more items that are important during an emergency.
During an emergency, like
people in the chat, help Anahita. Give her some items that are important in an emergency that should be in your emergency kit.
or mobiles, maybe,
Mobile phone, sure, for communication, right?
computers, yeah, mobiles, or
Look at New and Sunny. He gave you 3.
food lighter, flashlight. Okay.
Band-Aid,
Money,
power
yeah.
bank, painkillers, medicine, right?
Yeah.
There are tons of items that we should have in our safety kit. And by the way, everybody who's watching right now, I know it's not exactly IELTS, but it's related to this topic. I highly recommend having a safety kit in your home. You never know when it might be useful. Hope for the best, right? Plan for the worst. So have those items in a bag just in case you need it. It could save a life, okay? And it's not a big deal to try to put those together. So Anahita, when the question is plural, okay, give at least a few different answers, all right? They're there. You just have to think of them, right?
Okay, because recently nothing came into my mind, just documents. I came
Yeah.
up.
And when you say documents, you probably meant passport. So even there, I was like hoping that you would say documents, especially the passport, which is an official government ID with a picture, right? So picture ID. So even with documents, there's just more description that should go in there to get that band 6 fluent answer. So let's try this one more time, everybody. The most important items we should provide or have during an emergency: a bottle of water, passport for identification, food so we do not go hungry, a lighter, a flashlight so we can see in the dark, and a first aid kit so we can assist with minor injuries. Anahita, try that as much as possible. You don't have to repeat every item or every word, but try that, okay? Go for it, Anahita.
The most important items that we should provide during an emergency are our passport, first aid items, our bottles, and our medicines, and our
Flashlight.
I forgot
Flashlight.
flashlights in order to see, in order to not get lost in darkness.
Yeah, very good. Mobile phones are excellent because mobile phones have a flashlight, right? And they contain a lot of information that can be useful. Okay, Anahita, question is a plural, answer should be a plural. When the question is a plural, it's usually a plural because there are a number of easy answers. You just have to think of at least 3, 4, okay?
Okay, but if I couldn't come up with 3 to 4 items, like what should I do, for example, if I remembered only one?
You have to think of more than one. Because if you think of only one, it doesn't actually answer the question fluently, okay? So you can't get that fluency score if you only say the most important item is a passport. It's like, well, no, I'm asking you what items do you need? So you have to think of at least food, water, and a flashlight or mobile phone. It's there. You must. If you ask me like, what if I only think of one? The only answer I can give you is you'll get a lower score. Okay?
Okay, sir.
All right, Anahita, keep up the good practice.
Thank you, sir.
Okay,
Have
bye,
a good
Anahita.
day.
You too. Bye.
Bye, sir.
All right, that was Anahita. Thumbs up for Anahita. Students, don't just practice with me, practice with each other. Okay, this isn't just a call Adrian system in live classes. It's a call each other. It's called student partner speaking for everyone, okay? And that's on the website, aehelp.com and gieltshelp.com right there, okay? That's it for today and this week, everybody. But I'm back next Thursday with Speaking Part 1. Until that time, definitely use our premium IELTS package. You can sign up for that by clicking the big red button that's just right above my head there. It is a one-time payment for lifetime access. Doesn't cost much, but has a ton of valuable information for you. So to survive the IELTS and come out on top, use aehelp.com. For academic IELTS, use gieltshelp.com, this one here for general IELTS. Thank you so much, volunteers. Thank you first-time volunteers for being courageous and putting yourselves forward. That was fantastic. I look forward to seeing all of you next week. Best of luck to those of you who are still taking IELTS exams today. And again, aehelp.com for academic IELTS, gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada, wishing you all a lovely rest of the day. You're all beautiful people. Much love. Bye for now.